The wreckage floated in silence above the dead world, orbiting like the ghost of a war no one wanted to remember. Shattered hulls and scorched plating reflected the dull light of a sun that barely burned anymore. I'd seen ship graveyards before, hell, I'd looted most of them, but this one was different. There was a shape to it, a frozen formation. Dozens of alien cruisers, aligned in tight formation, like they died waiting for a final command that never came. I guided my crawler drone toward the largest wreck, a jagged black dagger, its surface carved with runes that shimmered faintly even now. It had no name in any human database, but I knew the design. Everyone did. Valari built, pre-collapse. That meant cutting-edge tech and something even rarer, intact artifacts. My ship, the Wendigo, hovered safely behind the wreck, cloaked and silent. I moved through the airlock, boots magnetizing to warped metal floors as I stepped into the dead vessel. No atmosphere, no power, just flickers of ancient energy in the walls, like veins pulsing one last time. I wasn't supposed to be here. Salvage rights on Imperial wrecks were heavily restricted, but that never stopped me. Earth's government wouldn't notice if a single rogue prospector slipped in. Not until I came back with something worth a fortune. But I didn't expect to find her. She was in a sealed chamber, shielded by 2 layers of blast doors and enough energy shielding to power a city. My drones burned through it in hours. Inside was silence and a single pod, sleek, silver, organic in design, covered in glyphs that pulsed like a heartbeat. I could feel it in my chest the second I entered. Pressure. Tension. A warning I didn't understand. She floated inside, hair like crimson silk suspended in blue fluid, body wrapped in a form-fitting suit of obsidian alloy. Her eyes were closed, her features eerily human, but not quite. Too perfect, too still. I didn't know what made me hesitate. Maybe it was the weight in the air, maybe it was the way the light refracted around her, but I stared at her for too long. When the pod opened, it wasn't gradual. It hissed, cracked, and split like a wound, spilling fluid across the floor. She fell out gasping, coughing violently, her hands clawing at nothing. Then those eyes opened bright white, glowing from within like twin stars. And for a moment, she looked at me like I was the last thing she'd ever see. She lunged. I hit the floor hard, breath knocked from my lungs as her arm pinned me. Her hand went to my throat, stronger than anyone I'd fought. Her other hand was at her side, fingers twitching like she expected a weapon that wasn't there. I choked out a word. Peace. She froze. Something flickered behind her eyes. Recognition? Confusion. Either way, she didn't kill me. Not yet. She spoke, the words fluid and guttural, unintelligible. When I didn't respond, she repeated it, slower, with emphasis. Her voice was melodic but laced with command. I don't understand, I said. Her grip loosened. She stepped back, unsteady. Her gaze swept the room, then focused on my gear, my scanner, my badge, my face. She whispered something again, almost to herself. Then, where is this? Edge of the Yema system. You were in stasis. This ship's been dead for a long time. She stared at me as though I'd said something obscene. No, she whispered. Impossible. We jumped before the collapse. This fleet collapsed, apparently, I said, wiping my throat. You're the only one left. That made her eyes widen. Just a flicker, but I caught it. She didn't believe me, or she did and didn't want to. I offered her water. She stared at it like I'd handed her poison, then took it anyway, sipping cautiously. I could hear her stomach growling. I tossed her a ration bar. Not poisoned, I said. She peeled it open, sniffed, then devoured it in seconds. You got a name? I asked. Her expression darkened. You don't address me that way. Fine. I'll just call you Glow Eyes then. A pause. Then, against all logic, she smiled. Just a little. A crack in the armor. My name is Solari, she said at last. Primarch of the Valari Crown lineage. I command the 9th Imperial Armada. Not anymore, I muttered. Now you're a passenger on my scrap hauler. Her eyes narrowed. And you are? Dane Kessler. Civilian salvager. No affiliations. No weapons pointed at you. She looked around again. Slowly, her stance relaxed. But there was a tension beneath the surface, coiled, calculating. She was assessing her odds. Me, my ship, the galaxy. You should not have found me, she said. There was supposed to be no trace. I frowned. You'd rather be dead? She didn't answer. I helped her to her feet. She moved like someone still learning gravity, muscles readjusting. As she passed me, I noticed the lines of her suit shimmered slightly. Active nanoweave, definitely military. Worth a fortune if I was into selling suicide bait. Look, I said. I can drop you at a station. Earth's rebuilt some of the border colonies. No one's going to recognize you. You don't understand, she replied. If I'm alive, they will come. And if they come, this system will burn. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I said nothing. For the next day, she barely spoke. She wandered the Wendigo silently, studying every console, every system, her fingers occasionally brushing against panels like she could feel their history. I caught her in my cabin once, holding my old Earth flag. You're human, she said quietly. All of you? Like this? More or less. Some better. Some worse. She didn't reply, but her fingers lingered on the fabric a little longer than I expected. She started asking questions after that. About Earth. About what had survived. I told her the basics. The Valari Empire had fallen decades ago. Humanity had risen. Fractured. Warred. United again. We weren't an empire. We weren't conquerors. Just stubborn survivors. She listened without interrupting. But sometimes, her jaw tightened, like she hated what she was hearing. That night, I found her staring out the observation window, eyes distant. I should have died with my fleet, she said. You didn't. I was bred for command, raised in war. We believed Earth would be a stepping stone. And now, she turned to me. Now I don't know what I believe. Later, I caught her interfacing with my comms array. Subtle. Clean. A short burst transmission, masked to look like a system ping. She didn't know I had a redundancy tracker. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I needed to know who was listening. A day later, the ping came back. Faint. Long range. But real. Something was out there. Something was coming. She stood in the engine bay when I confronted her. You sent a signal, I said. Her face was calm. Unreadable. Yes. Who did it reach? My people. You said they'd come. Her voice was quiet. They already are. I stepped back, hand inching toward the emergency lockdown. I trusted you. She shook her head. You pitted me. That's different. Then what now? You hand Earth over. No, her voice cracked. I don't know. She turned away, looking not at me, but beyond me, toward stars I couldn't see. You don't understand what I was made to be, she said. But you should know this. She turned back. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. I didn't send them Earth's coordinates. I sent them mine, because I thought I could take your ship and go. But I didn't. I stared at her, heartbeat thundering. Why not? I asked. She didn't answer, but her face said everything. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I feared Silari, though I should have, but because something had shifted between us. When she admitted she didn't take the ship, when she said she'd stayed, it wasn't guilt I saw in her eyes. It was doubt. In herself. In everything she'd been raised to believe. And that was more dangerous than any weapon. The next morning, the long-range scanners picked up the signal again. Stronger this time. Close enough that it didn't need masking. It wasn't human. The pulse was too complex, layered with harmonic frequencies that vibrated the Wendigo's hull like a tuning fork. Silari stood in the cockpit beside me, silent, unmoving, her posture impossibly straight. She didn't ask what it was. She already knew. They've come, she said. Who are they? She didn't look at me. Hunters. Valari loyalists. I thought your empire was gone. Empires die. Ideologies don't. We watched the display in silence. One vessel. Sleek. Spear-shaped. Twice the size of mine. It hovered at the edge of the system, no IFF, no comms. Just presence. Waiting. Silari moved before I could speak. She retrieved her suit's chest plate from my storage locker and began snapping it into place like it never left her body. "What are you doing?" I asked. She didn't look up. "Preparing." "For what? You said you didn't call them." "I didn't, but they found me anyway. They're going to board." I cursed under my breath. "You could have warned me." "I'm warning you now." "Great timing." That word slipped out before I even knew I was going to say it. She blinked. I saw something flicker in her face again. Surprise. Yes, but something else. Regret. "They'll destroy your ship if they think I'm resisting," she said. "Let me go. You don't owe me anything." "You think this is about a debt?" I stepped in front of her. "You could have left. You didn't. That means something. Even if you don't know what yet." A pause. Her hand dropped from her armor. "I wasn't raised for this," she whispered. "Well, neither was I. And look at me. Hero of the hour, standing between an alien princess and certain death." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. The enemy ship docked 20 minutes later. They didn't wait for permission. The airlock hissed open like a wound, and they poured in, tall, black-armored, faces hidden behind obsidian visors, weapons sleek and humming with blue light. They moved with the perfect synchronization of soldiers who'd trained together since birth. I didn't resist. Neither did Silari. She walked to them without a word. Their leader stepped forward, helmet marked with a golden glyph I didn't recognize. He scanned me once, then dismissed me like I was dust. "Silari Kethvalen, crown lineage," he said in that same fluid, sharp Valari tongue. Then, in English, "You are recalled." She bowed her head. I yield. But something was wrong. She moved stiffly, not like someone surrendering, but someone calculating. Every step she took felt loaded with purpose. I followed them anyway, trailing at a distance until one of the soldiers stepped in front of me, rifle raised. "Turn back. She's under my protection. You have none." But Silari turned her head. "He comes." The soldiers hesitated. The leader spoke again, this time with venom. "He is irrelevant." "No," she said coldly. "He's the only one who treated me like more than a weapon. If he dies, I burn every bloodline name from memory, starting with yours." The air changed. Even through armor, I could feel their unease. Then, without ceremony, they escorted us both onto their ship. The interior was even colder than I expected, both in temperature and atmosphere. No decoration, no personality, just function and control. A warship with no name, no soul. They confined us to a chamber sealed with gravity locks. No restraints, no guards, which meant they were either supremely confident or preparing something worse. Silari sat in the center of the room, knees folded beneath her. She didn't speak for a long time. Finally, I broke the silence. "So, are we prisoners?" "No." "Hostages?" "No." "Well, that's comforting." She opened her eyes, slowly. "They're trying to decide if I'm still useful." "Useful for what?" "To restore something that's already dead. An empire of shadows. A war that was lost before it began. And if you say no, they'll kill us both." "Great. So we've got options." She looked at me, and this time her eyes weren't glowing. They looked tired, almost human. "You should have let me go alone." "Maybe," I said. "But then who would have told you your death glare needs work?" A small, real laugh escaped her lips. Then the door opened. The same commander stepped in, followed by 2 more armored figures. This time, their weapons were not holstered. "You were compromised," he said to her. "I was rescued. You abandoned protocol. I survived." A pause. Then he turned to me. "This is the creature who found you. His name is Dane." I didn't ask for his name. Silari rose to her feet, slowly. "Then you've already lost." That was all the warning I got. She moved like lightning, arms sweeping up, grabbing one of the soldiers' rifles, spinning it in one fluid motion, and firing into the second's chest plate. The energy blast threw him back, crashing into the wall with a sickening crack. The leader moved to strike, but I was already charging. I don't know why. I wasn't fast. I wasn't strong. But I caught him off guard long enough for Silari to deliver a savage elbow to his throat. The rifle clattered across the floor. I snatched it, aiming without really knowing how to use it. We ran. The corridors blurred around us. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed red. I followed her, trusting her memory of this ship's design, because she hadn't just served on vessels like this. She'd commanded them. We reached the hangar just as the first wave of reinforcements arrived. "Back!" she shouted, slamming her palm into a control panel. A force field snapped to life, separating us from the approaching soldiers. "They'll breach it in 60 seconds, she said. "Then what?" She pointed across the hangar, to a small dropship tucked in the corner. We sprinted. The force field behind us began to glow white-hot. We hit the cockpit, and I took the co-pilot seat as she jammed her hand into the control matrix. It responded instantly to her genetic signature. Engines screamed awake. "Hang on," she said. The launch was violent. We burst out of the warship's underbelly, scattering debris in our wake, narrowly missing the incoming flak cannons. The sky turned into a swirl of stars and fire. The ship pursued us, but she was already punching in a jump vector. "We'll never make the calculations in time." "We don't need to," she said. The jump drive whined like it was tearing the ship apart. And then the stars vanished. Silence. Darkness. Just the low hum of the dropship systems and the sound of our breathing. I turned to her. "Where are we?" She looked at the console, then at me. "Nowhere anyone can find us. For now." I let the rifle drop to the floor. My arms were shaking. I hadn't realized how close we'd come. "You didn't have to fight for me," I said. She looked at me, and something in her face softened. "You're wrong." She reached forward, gently touching my cheek. An alien princess, forged for war, now trembling with something she didn't yet understand. "I never expected you," she whispered. "But your face." When I woke up, it told me everything. And this time I believed her. The stars bled into view, one by one, as the dropship drifted into a region of space uncharted by human systems. The void here was deeper, quieter, like even light hesitated to speak. Our jump had burned out most of the navigational systems, but we were alive. That counted for something. Silari hadn't said a word since the jump. She sat in the pilot's seat, gaze fixed forward, but I could feel her thoughts spiraling like storms behind her eyes. The silence between us wasn't empty. It pulsed with unspoken truths. I leaned forward, running a diagnostic on the console. "We've got minimal power, no weapons, and no long-range comms." "Good," she murmured. "They won't find us. But we won't find anyone else either." She turned her head slightly, not enough to look at me. "You still don't understand what they want." "You, obviously." "No. They want the idea of me, a figurehead, a justification to ignite the remnants of an empire that never died properly. A princess who returns to lead them out of extinction." "You make that sound like a bad thing." "It is," she said sharply. "Because I wouldn't lead them to glory. I'd lead them to ash. And you'd be the first casualty." That silence returned again, thick as gravity. "I'm not leaving," I said. "Even if you think you're a walking disaster." She rose from her seat, pacing slowly. "You don't know what I've done." "No," I admitted. "But I've seen what you've chosen, and I trust that." Her steps halted, her fists clenched at her sides. And then, just as quickly, she deflated, shoulders slumping. "They'll come again. Stronger, smarter. They'll bring others who aren't loyal to me. Assassins. Saboteurs. They won't ask. They'll just end it. Then we don't run." She turned, eyes locking with mine, a flicker of fury in her voice. "What are you going to do, Dane? Fight an entire empire with duct tape and defiance? Wouldn't be the first time humans did something stupid like that." She blinked, and to my surprise, let out a breath of laughter. It was short, wounded, but it was real. "You're infuriating." Most charming trait I've got. A pause. She stepped closer. Then maybe we make a plan. Not to win, but to break their momentum. I nodded. Where do we start? She tapped the side of the console, pulling up a grainy star map. Her finger landed on a system marked only by outdated Volari characters. Outpost Delta Chi, one of the last deep-orbit vaults. It held failed experiments, obsolete AI cores, abandoned tech. And something else, something only royalty could access. What is it? She hesitated. A key. Not metaphorical. Literal. It's tied to the throne engine. That sounds ominous. It is. The engine was designed to ensure no unworthy bloodline could claim the Empire's full legacy without undergoing judgment. What kind of judgment? I don't know. It killed everyone who tried. I whistled softly. So we break into a vault that murders anyone who touches its crown jewels. And you want to use that to what? Scare your people off. No. I want to destroy it. That made me freeze. Destroy the core of your own civilization? I'd rather end the legacy than watch it become something unrecognizable. They want me to be a symbol. So I'll become one. Just not the one they expect. She looked at me then. Fully. Her glowing eyes had dimmed, but the fire behind them was brighter than ever. Will you help me? I came this far, didn't I? She nodded once, tight and resolute. Then we begin. The journey to Delta Chi took 3 days. 3 days of silent tension, of recalibrating the dropship's failing systems, of filtering recycled air that tasted like burnt ozone. We barely slept. She taught me fragments of Volari language, just enough to access emergency codes, override security panels, and bluff our way past automated defenses. When we reached the vault's orbit, I understood why it had been abandoned. The entire station looked like it had been carved out of a dying asteroid, fused with alien alloys and half-finished architecture. Lights flickered across its shell like distant neurons firing in a dying brain. No greeting, no warning, just a hangar door yawning open like a mouth. We docked, suits on, weapons ready. Inside, the vault was a cathedral of silence. Hallways stretched into infinity, lined with dormant machines and inert statues. Volari constructs, long out of power. Some looked like warriors, some like scientists. All looked disappointed. Why does this place feel like a tomb? I whispered. Because it is. This is where they buried their failures. We descended deeper. Automated turrets tracked us but did not fire. Systems came online in slow increments, recognizing Solari's presence. The air grew colder the further we went, thick with the dust of forgotten genius and abandoned sins. At the heart of it all stood the throne engine. It looked like a crown had been welded into a reactor core. Pulsing lines of violet light throbbed from its center, spreading into the floor, the walls, the very foundation of the vault. A living circuit, a mind with no master. I have to touch it, Solari said. I figured. Any idea what happens next? Only what I was told as a child, that it shows you the truth of yourself, and then decides if you're worthy to bear the burden of command. That doesn't sound remotely healthy. No, she agreed softly. It's not. She stepped forward. I reached for her hand. She paused, surprised, but she let me hold it. If anything goes wrong, she began, then I'll do what I always do. Something stupid. She smirked, then turned away and placed her palm against the engine. It awakened. A shockwave blasted outward, energy rippling like a heartbeat from the core. I stumbled back, blinded, and then nothing. Silence. When I looked up, Solari was gone. She was inside it, or it was inside her. Images flickered in the air around the engine. Her past, her memories, battlefields soaked in ash, training halls filled with screaming children, a father's hand raised in command, a mother's silence like ice. Over and over, scenes of cold expectation and colder consequence. And then me, her first waking moments in the medbay, my face, my voice, the way I looked at her, not as a relic, not as a threat, but as someone. The light shifted. Her body reformed slowly from the light, collapsing forward onto her knees, gasping for breath. I caught her before she fell. "You okay?" She looked up, tears in her eyes. "It accepted me," she whispered. "But not for what I was. For what I chose. Does that mean it'll let you destroy it?" She nodded. Together, we overloaded the core. The explosion rocked the vault. Systems screamed in protest. Walls cracked. The entire structure began collapsing inward. We ran, sprinting through crumbling corridors, dodging debris, barely reaching the dropship as the vault imploded behind us. A lightless crown turned to dust. As we drifted away, watching the last embers of the throne engine vanish into the void, she turned to me. "They'll hunt us for this. Probably. We'll never be safe. Probably not." She exhaled, then reached for my hand again. This time it wasn't hesitation. It was choice. "Then let's be dangerous together." I squeezed her hand, watching the stars ahead, brighter now than they had any right to be. "Deal."